I'm ashamed to say it, but here's the hot mess truth on my thread problem. I have thread everywhere, in jars, in bins. Look at this hot mess in the closet with all of my big cones. I have thread laying around. I have bobbins laying around in different odd places. Here's my Christmas thread that I just threw in a bin. And then here's this hot mess right here. This is all of my double duty thread. It's my thicker thread, my upholstery. And then this is the thread, the bobbins by my sewing machine. Oh yeah, hot mess. So this is what I did. I took everything out and I put it on my table. Everything. I didn't want to leave one thread unturned. I have to get better at putting my thread away after I use it, but I just don't know how. I get so excited and so in a hurry to do the next project, I don't even think about it. One of my big problems is I put a thread somewhere and I know I have that color, but I just can't find it, so I just go out and I buy another one. KonMari says take it all out, every bit of it, and lay it out on Front Street. So there you have it. There's my thread collection. My goal today is to corral all my thread and organize it in these nice deep bins that I found at Walmart. They're nice and deep so that way I can actually stand my spools of thread up in it, and I like the idea of that. There's even these little tiny plastic compartment separators to separate the colors possibly if you wanted to. In this first bin, I'm going to concentrate on my specialty thread, my thicker thread, my metallic thread, my upholstery thread. If you're new to sewing, take a look right here at what I'm pointing to. There's a little slit on the top of some of these spools. You can take your thread that's just hanging, slide it in there, and that controls the thread so it doesn't get out of hand. Now I know that little slit, it's there, but sometimes I don't remember or I don't think about it. And I just get too excited, like I said, and I just throw it in there and don't even corral that loose piece that's hanging. Now, if you don't have a little slit, I learned this a while ago. You take your thread and you just pull it taut right along the side area of the thread till it's connected and it stays right in there. You can do that with bobbin thread as well. It works great. So all of my specialty thread fit in this one tiny bin. I'm so excited. There's my stretchy elastic thread. Let's see, there's some embroidery thread I threw in there that I don't embroider, but I use it for different things. My metallic thread. Oh, that's elastic thread that I'm going to be trying soon here. And just my double duty thread, like I said, it all fit and it looks really nice. Oh my, that's a lot of thread. Next, I'm going to work on my bright colored thread, the ones that I don't really use that often. I'm also going to add all of my shades of gray to my brightly colored thread box because for some reason I have a lot of different grays. I must have forgot I had grays in different tones and bought more, so it's going to go in this box. Let's play I Spy. Who spies the 3 spools of orange thread on my table? Oh yeah, those were overbuys for sure because I couldn't find the first 2 that I bought. I would love to know what you guys do with your thread. Do you have it laying all over like I do? Do you have the same problem that I do? Do you overbuy because you can't find what you bought the first time? Or are you really organized and have a really good way to organize your thread that you could share with us down in the comments? That would be awesome. The obvious answer, I'm sure, to my thread problem is to take care of the thread and put it away as soon as I am done with my sewing project, right? Well, that's harder than it sounds. Bin number 2 is all done and it looks great. I put all my really bright colors in the back there. There you see my oranges, of course. And then toward the front, that whole front row is dedicated to all the different shades of gray that I have. Next, I'm going to work on my neutrals, my navies, black, and white. I'm also going to deal with a lot of the bobbins that I have that only have a little bit of thread on them that I'm just going to pull the thread off and throw it in the garbage and put some new thread on my bobbins. I always think I'm going to use up that little bit of thread, maybe with some hand sewing or something, but I'm never going to use it. So like KonMari says, if it doesn't bring you joy, then toss it or give it away. And this one's going in the garbage. So here I'm just making sure that all of those loose tails are stuck up into the spool of thread so they don't come unraveled and get tied in knots with my other thread. I love that navy thread. It is beautiful. This was actually kind of therapeutic for me, just to sit down and take my time. And even though I'm just going through one item, it's everything in my sewing room of that one item, and just going through, weeding out, straightening things up and organizing. It's kind of nice. Take a look at this bobbin right here coming up. You see how it's wound more on one side than the other? Well, you can't use that in your machine because it won't feed through your bobbin area properly. I think I wound that on my old machine, and I just saved it and set it aside because I didn't know what else to do with it. I know I couldn't use it, so I figured I would just use it for hand sewing or something. But you know what? It's coming off there today and going in the garbage. And you see here this rat's nest right here? I'm going to go ahead and just take my scissors and cut right through it because there's no untangling that for sure. All these bobbins with this tiny bit of thread on it, it's taken up precious real estate on my bobbins. I really can't believe how many extra bobbins I got after I let out all of the thread and threw it in the garbage off of those bobbins. One thing that I noticed that was really nice about this process is that I can take inventory of all the different colors of thread that I have already. And I did notice that I did not have one regular spool of red thread. I have one cone that's really big of red thread, but I didn't have like a really good red. So that's on my list. And also a nice evergreen, a nice deep, even emerald green. I don't have any of those colors, so that's on my list too. On the back row, I have some neutrals. I have a light green, I have a taupe, I have some brown tones. Then I added in the next row my dark navies and my regular navy and my bright blue and my regular blue. And then in the front, I added in my black and my whites. And I had one tiny bobbin with some red thread on it, and I put that one in the front as well. That was much easier than I thought it would be. Now on to the big thread cones. Now I purchased this larger tote at Walmart so it would fit my taller cones, so that way I won't be fussing with the lid that it doesn't fit and all that. I want there to be enough room in between from the top to the top of the cone. This bin is actually really easy to fill because they just all stand up right next to one another. You see the bottom of this cone right here? I'm not sure how it got crushed, but I'm going to utilize that and make a bunch of bobbins up with that cone because I really don't think it'll come off well if it feeds through down to the needle. So we'll just go ahead and use that for bobbin thread. This thread right here, notice the sticker, it's from the Goodwill, 99 cents. I find a lot of thread still in packages at the Goodwill, and I buy them. Hey, maybe that's why I have a thread problem. Nah. Check out the woolly nylon that I found at the Goodwill for 99 cents. Jackpot for sure. Well, I have to say, things are looking pretty organized about now. I can't even believe it. I was fretting so much over doing my thread and getting it all organized that it was making me nuts. This bin size is actually really perfect for these tall cone threads. Looking good. Now on to winding some bobbins with all those extra cones of thread we had. I hate running out of bobbin thread so much when I'm right in the middle of a project that I do take the time at different times and wind a ton of bobbins so that way they can be nice and handy and I don't have to stop and wind a bobbin in between a project. I know you all understand if you sew. If you're new to sewing, you may or may not know this. I never knew it when I first started sewing. Do you see that small silver disc next to the bobbin as it's winding? It has a screw in it. You can actually loosen that screw and turn out that disc a little bit so that you get more thread on your bobbin. For the longest time, I was only getting a little bit of thread on my bobbin and I didn't know why. Everybody else's bobbin was so nice and thick. Well, that's why. You can actually change that. Oh yes, that is a nice pile of threaded bobbin. Now, I didn't get to do the rest of that broken cone because it was just a lot of thread on there, but I'll save that for another time that I'm going to wind the bobbins. But these right here, I'm going to just toss those in the garbage because there's only a tiny bit left. See how easy that was? Okay, now because I'm a very visual person, I am going to put some labels on my brand new containers. If you don't have a label maker, no worries. Grab some masking tape and a marker and get to writing. But if you're interested, I will put a link to Amazon on the Dynamo label maker in the information box. It's below this video. I put a label on the top of the containers and on the end on the side because I think I'm going to store them up on one of my shelves, and so that way I can see it as I'm looking up. I'll be able to see it on the end of the container. I think that'll work. If it doesn't, I can always take it off and put it on a different part of the box. Oh my word, they look so good and organized. I can't even believe it. It doesn't even look like it's my thread. And now as I go through my sewing room some more, if I find another spool of thread, I'll know exactly where it goes. And just like that, I'm back in business. I'm starting to think now that me making this video was more help to me than it will be to you. Hope this video inspires you to get organizing in your sewing room today. Until next time on the Sewing Channel, take care.